At 3:07 a.m., someone was in his kitchen. That alone was a problem. In his house, no one moved after midnight without a reason. No one breathed louder than the refrigerator. Yet something clinked. Porcelain against metal. Soft. Careful. Again. He opened his eyes. Not because of the noise. He'd heard it faint for weeks, a murmur under sleep he chose to ignore. Tonight was different. Tonight, the school had called. He swung his legs off the bed. Cold floor. Steady heartbeat. He didn't turn on the lights. The house knew his weight. The stairs rarely creaked for him. Down the hallway. Past the locked office. Past the room where 3 men slept with guns under their pillows. The sound grew clearer. Water running. Plate. Spoon. Plate. At the kitchen door, he stopped. She was small in the light. The under-cabinet lamp carved a square out of the dark. Inside it, she stood. Bare feet. Oversized t-shirt. Hair caught with a rubber band that once held his money. Marta's girl. He almost said her name. Didn't. Every dish in the house seemed to be in front of her. Stacks of plates. Glasses. 2 big pots. She washed them like they'd done something wrong. The faucet hissed. The sponge scraped. Then he heard it. Tap. Drip. Tap. That drip was what had woken him, night after night. Always around this hour. Why are you in my kitchen at 3 in the morning? He didn't raise his voice. He never needed to. She froze. Her shoulders climbed, then sank, like they already knew the weight of being noticed. Slowly, she turned. Her eyes went to his hands first. Checking if he was holding anything. Checking what kind of night this would be. Smart. I'm just cleaning, sir, she said. Sir. Not boss. Not his name. Trying to keep this small. House. Job. Chores. Her hands betrayed her. The knuckles were red and split. Skin raw. The water in the sink was cloudy, a faint blush near the drain. Not dramatic. Just real. Turn, he said. She turned fully to face him. How old are you? He asked. 14, she said. He almost smiled. The file in his office said 13. 13 and a half, the woman from school had said today, careful, each word measured. He let the quiet ask the next question. The faucet kept running. The tap dripped into the metal basin. A slow, stubborn rhythm. Did you go to school today? He asked. Her mouth moved before sound came. That was answer enough. I helped Mama, she said. Is that what you told your teacher? He asked. Her fingers tightened around the plate. Porcelain scraped steel. They called you, she whispered. Yes. Her breath caught. Not a sob. A stumble. He knew fear. The kind that warned of danger. The kind that signaled betrayal. This was different. She wasn't afraid of him. That was new. Turn off the water, he said. She obeyed at once. The faucet squeaked. The stream stopped. The drip took a moment longer. 1, 2, 3. Then silence. Why did you really skip school? He asked. She looked at the floor. At the sink. At her hands. Anywhere but at him. I'll finish the dishes, she murmured. I'm almost done. He stepped closer. 3 tiles of distance. That was not the question, he said. Her chin lifted a fraction. Not defiance. Not stubbornness. Guilt. Something had shifted today. Something that put a 13-year-old in his kitchen at 3 in the morning, bleeding into dishwater, afraid of everything except the man everyone else feared. "How many nights have you been doing this?" he asked. She hesitated. "Enough," she whispered. The word landed between them like a cracked plate. He thought of the phone call. The absences. The careful voice on the line. Of Marta, exhausted, thanking him too often. Of all the nights he'd let the drip pull at his sleep and turned over anyway. He prided himself on knowing everything that moved inside his walls. Looking at the girl in the harsh kitchen light, he understood one thing with unwelcome clarity. He didn't say it. He just stood there, in the quiet, while the clean plates dried and the girl gripped one like a shield, and let the question hang, sharp and unanswered, between them. What kind of man ran an empire so tightly and understood so little about the child washing his dishes at 3 a.m.? Morning pretended nothing had happened. The house did it well. Sun came in through the tall kitchen windows like it was paid to. Soft light over polished counters. Steam from fresh coffee. His men moved quieter in daylight. Different weapons. Different smiles. By 8, the night felt like a story he could have imagined. Except for the plate. The one she'd been holding at 3 in the morning sat alone on the rack, turned slightly the wrong way, a single bead of dried water at its edge like a stubborn tear. He saw it when he walked in. Marta stood at the stove, turning eggs in a pan. Her shoulders relaxed, humming under her breath. Her daughter sat at the small table, back straight, school uniform pressed too carefully. Collar stitched where it had once torn. She looked normal. Hair braided. Shoes polished. Notebook open beside her plate. His chair waited at the head of the table, untouched. "Good morning, sir," Marta said, without turning. "Coffee?" He watched the girl instead. She kept her eyes on her notebook. Her fork moved food around more than it lifted it. "Good morning," he said. He sat. The chair accepted his weight with a familiar creak. The same sound every morning for years. Routine. Comfort. A lie. He picked up his cup. The coffee was strong, just shy of bitter. "What time did you go to sleep?" he asked casually. Marta glanced over her shoulder, confused. "Me, sir?" she asked. "No," he said. "Your daughter." The girl's fork stilled. A small clink against porcelain. "Late," she murmured. "Sorry, sir." "Late because of the dishes?" he asked. Marta's hands froze over the pan. The humming died. "Dishes?" she repeated. He didn't look at her. He watched the girl instead, watched the way her throat moved when she swallowed, the way her fingers tightened around the fork. He was not used to children hiding things from him. Men, yes. Rivals, yes. Police, always. Not children at his table. "You have school," he said. "You should sleep." "You cannot sleep if you are doing my dishes at 3 in the morning." The fork slipped. It hit the plate, then the floor. The sound was small, but the silence after it wasn't. Marta turned fully now, eyes wide, spatula in hand like a shield. "Boss, I'm sorry," she rushed. "I told her to rest, I didn't know." "She washes when you are asleep," he said, still looking at the girl. "You cannot know." The girl bent to pick up the fork. Her braid swung forward. He noticed the bandages then. 2 fingers wrapped in thin white tape under the soap-pink rawness. Last night, there had been no bandages. "Show me your hands," he said. "It's nothing, sir." The water was just, "Show me." She set the fork on the table and held her hands out, palms up. The skin was cracked where hot water and cheap soap had chewed through softness. The tape was imperfectly wrapped, done alone. "Why didn't you tell your mother?" he asked. Marta flinched. "I told her," the girl said quickly. "She said to wear gloves, but they're too big, sir, they slip, and the plates." Her words tangled. He heard the fear now. Not of him. Of dropping something. Of breaking something that cost more than she thought she was worth. You missed 3 days of school this month, he said. Her shoulders dipped. Yes, sir. Why? Marta stepped closer to the table. I kept her home, boss, she said. There was the dentist, then she was sick, and then. The school doesn't mention a dentist, he said. He'd read the report after the call. He read everything. The girl's eyes flickered up, just once. There. A crack in the calm. Desperation, not defiance. You will go to school today, he said. I can't, she blurted, then swallowed the rest. I mean, I should help Mama. With what? He asked softly. She closed her mouth. Marta stared fixedly at the pan, but the eggs were already overcooked. The illusion of a gentle morning was thinning. He let the seconds stretch. We will speak this evening, he said. After school. Her face drained. That's not necessary, sir, Marta tried. She's just a child, she. If it weren't necessary, he said, we would all be asleep at 3 in the morning. He pushed back his chair. The creak sounded different now. Less like comfort. More like warning. As he left the kitchen, the house did what it always did. It swallowed sound. On the rack, the single wrong-turn plate faced the window, catching a line of light across its surface like a quiet, watching eye. The morning kept pretending. But the pretense no longer worked. Not for him. Not for her. He waited until the house forgot the morning. By evening, the noise of his world had dulled. Calls taken. Orders given. She was in the laundry room. He found her there, not by sound, but by the wrong kind of silence. The machines were off. No hum. No clatter. Just her. She sat on a low stool with a basket in front of her, folding shirts that were not hers, each crease careful, like she owed the cloth an apology. He leaned on the doorframe. You are home, he said. She startled, then covered it by smoothing a sleeve one more time. Yes, sir. No dishes tonight, he asked. Her eyes flicked to the side, toward the sink he couldn't see from here. They're done, she said. He listened. In the quiet between them, he could almost hear it. Tap. Drip. Tap. The sound wasn't real this time. It lived in his memory now. You came straight home after school, he asked. Yes, sir. He stepped inside the room. Try again, he said. She bit down on her lip. I had to stop somewhere, she admitted. Where? She hesitated. Now is when you decide, he said. Do you want to lie to me or not? Her fingers strangled a t-shirt. The pharmacy, she whispered. He frowned. For what? Her shoulders tensed. Mama's pills, she said. They make her sleep. When she doesn't have them, she talks too loud. She forgets. She says things she shouldn't, and the neighbors listen. You are buying medicine, he asked. She nodded once. With what money? Her mouth opened, closed. He waited. Silence stretched, tight as wire. The dishes, she said finally. And the laundry. And ironing. And I sew buttons back. For the men. They give me something sometimes. He watched her. The men pay you, he asked. Not much, she said quickly. They say it's just for candy, but I don't buy candy, sir. Why didn't your mother ask me for money, he said. She did, the girl said softly. Last year. You gave her too much. He remembered. An envelope, pushed back across the table, Marta's hands shaking. Hospital, she had said. He had forgotten the rest. And now, he asked. Mama doesn't want to ask again, she said. She says we already owe you a life, and if we owe you more, we'll never be able to leave. The words landed heavier than she meant them to. He saw it in her face, the instant regret. That's not what I mean, she doesn't want to be a burden, she added quickly. She's grateful, sir. We both are. There it was. A confession. Not about skipping school. Not about 3 in the morning. But something truer. She thought of his help as a weight with no end. She thought of this house as something to escape. Look at me, he said. She did. You will not work for my men, he said. Not for money. Not for candy. Not for anything. Her jaw tightened. Then how will we? That is not your job, he said. You will go to school. You will sleep at night. You will stop washing dishes at 3 in the morning. He didn't say anything about the pills. The drip in his head grew louder. Tap. Drip. Tap. You're angry, she said quietly. He considered it. I am correcting an error, he answered. Mine, she asked. Mine, he said. Her fingers loosened around the shirt. That's not fair, she muttered, almost too low to hear. You didn't make Mama sick. Another confession slipped out before she could catch it. He heard the rest anyway. But you made us stay. He almost said it for her. Almost. Instead, he straightened. I will speak to your mother about the medicine, he said. You will not skip school for it again. I can go before, she said quickly. If I wake up early enough. At 3 in the morning, he cut in. Color rose in her cheeks. Not just dishes. Errands while the world slept, so no one would see. Do you understand me? He asked. Yes, sir. The words were obedient. The eyes were not convinced. It was the closest thing to intimacy they'd had so far. Not warmth. Not trust. Just truth, sitting between them on a basket of folded shirts. Finish here, he said, stepping back toward the door. Then do your homework. Yes, sir. He left the laundry room. In the hallway, where she couldn't see, his hand brushed the wall, fingers tapping once against the plaster. Tap. Drip. Tap. He pulled his hand back and walked away, letting the distance grow again before it felt like too much had closed between them. He meant to fix things. That was the intention. He spoke to Marta after dinner. Quiet conversation, a promise to cover the pills. A reassurance she accepted with gratitude too quick to be real. He thought that was enough. But intentions rarely survived the night. It began with a sound he didn't recognize at first. Not the drip. Not dishes. Something thinner. A breath caught in a throat. He followed it down the hall, past the closed doors, to the small room at the end, the one he let them use because it was closest to the kitchen, closest to work, closest to everything Marta insisted she could manage alone. The door was cracked. He pushed it open. She sat on the floor beside the bed, legs pulled tight, back to the wall. Her braid had come undone, hair falling in uneven waves around her face. Her hands trembled in her lap. Not from cold. From trying not to make noise. Her mother lay in the bed, turned away, breathing unevenly, an empty glass on the nightstand. Not dangerous. Just drugged deeper than usual. He stepped inside. The girl didn't notice him until he was close enough to cast a shadow over her. She jumped. Her breathing stuttered. Why are you here? He asked quietly. She wiped her face with the heel of her hand, hiding it too late. I'm fine, sir, she whispered. A lie with an echo. You are not. She shook her head quickly. Too quickly. I didn't mean to wake you. You didn't, he said. But you are shaking. I'm not. She was. Her fingers tugged at the frayed edge of her sleeve, pulling at threads until another came loose. What happened? He asked. She swallowed. Nothing. Mama she took the pills early. She said she was tired. She didn't eat dinner. I should've. She cut herself off, biting the inside of her cheek until color bloomed there. He looked at the nightstand. The empty glass. The bottle beside it. Not empty, but lighter than before. How many did she take, he asked. Her voice barely made it out. I don't know. He crouched down so she wouldn't have to look up at him. You should have told me, he said. You think I didn't try, she burst before she could stop herself. The words seemed to shock her as much as him. Silence tightened around them. Her face crumpled. Not breaking. Just folding under a weight she'd carried too long. I didn't want you to get angry, she whispered. Mama said you'd think she was ungrateful. She said you'd think we weren't worth the trouble. There it was. The wound. Not hers alone. A wound built from fear, poverty, pride, and the quiet way people learn to survive around men like him. He exhaled slowly. You are worth the trouble, he said. It came out softer than he planned. Too soft. She didn't believe him. He saw it in the way her eyelids fluttered, in the way her shoulders drew in tighter instead of relaxing. That's what people say when they're trying to keep someone quiet, she murmured. It hit harder than she intended. He didn't show it. He just let the words settle. The room was dim. The lamp on the nightstand flickered, weak bulb, dying filament. The flicker caught the plate sitting on the dresser. A plate. The same kind she'd washed at 3 in the morning. This one spotless, but angled oddly, reflecting the flicker in a warped line across its center. A darker symbol now. Not dripping water. Not morning light. Just a warped, quiet thing that had seen too much. Look at me, he said. She didn't. Her gaze stayed on her mother, on the rise and fall of the blankets. He waited. Finally, her eyes lifted. I don't get angry at you, he said. You will, she whispered. The certainty in her voice froze him. She wasn't imagining it. She was expecting it. She had lived too long around people who broke under stress. People who lashed out. People who loved with one hand and punished with the other. He realized then that his presence, his power, was another weight she didn't know where to put. Go to bed, he said gently. Your mother will sleep through the night. But if she wakes up, I will hear her, he said. But if something happens, it won't. What if it does, she whispered. Her voice cracked on the last word. Not loudly. Just enough. He reached toward her. Not to touch. Just to offer the gesture. She flinched. She tried to hide it, but she did. He let his hand fall. That was the break. Not loud. Not dramatic. A quiet fracture. You're tired, he said. Sleep. She nodded, though nothing in her posture suggested rest. He stood and stepped back toward the hall. As he reached for the door, the lamp flickered again. The warped light slid over the plate's surface, bending the reflection like something bruised. He paused. The girl didn't look up. She stayed small against the wall, hugging her knees, eyes fixed on her mother's slow, uneven breathing. He closed the door halfway. Not fully. Just enough to leave a line of light across the floor. A thin, fragile line. And on the other side of it, a silence too heavy for comfort. He asked her to meet him in the dining room. Not the kitchen. Not the hallway. Not the door of her mother's room. The dining room, the long table, the heavy chairs, the place where decisions lived. She stood at the far end, hands clasped in front of her like she wasn't sure if she belonged this close to polished wood. He took his seat at the head. A deliberate choice. Sit, he said. She didn't move at first. Then she sat, 2 chairs away, too far for conversation and too close for comfort. He folded his hands on the table. Your mother is sleeping, he said. She nodded. Better than last night, he added. Another nod. Her eyes stayed low, fixed on the grain of the table, following the dark lines as if they might lead her out of the room. We need to talk about what happened, he said. A flick of her throat. A swallow. I know, sir. I told you I would take care of things, he continued. I meant it. I didn't ask you to, she said softly. He stilled. A small sentence. A big collision. Your mother needs help, he said. You cannot give it alone. I wasn't alone, she murmured. I was just trying. He heard the fragility under it, but he couldn't walk toward softness now. Not yet. You do not carry this house, he said. Her shoulders curled inward. I don't want to, she whispered. He leaned forward. Then stop. A breath escaped her. Half laugh. Half disbelief. If I stop, she said, things fall apart. He let the silence hit the table between them, sharp, quick, clean. My men should not be paying you, he said. They weren't. For chores. She closed her mouth. He waited. Finally, her voice came small. They felt bad for me sometimes. Why would they feel bad, he asked. She looked up then, eyes bright with something raw. Because I'm a kid doing things grown people don't want to do, she said. Because I fix what they break. Because they come home drunk and drop things and mama doesn't wake up and someone has to clean it so she doesn't get fired. Her voice cracked, not loud. Just enough. And because, she added, barely audible, they know you won't notice. The words landed hard. He didn't flinch, but something tightened behind his ribs. That is changing, he said. She looked at him, tired and unconvinced. He breathed once. Then he spoke the line he hadn't said aloud in years. My code is simple, he said. If someone is under my roof, I protect them. It was not a promise. It was an oath. But she didn't take it as protection. She took it as possession. Her jaw tightened. Protecting someone means deciding everything for them, she said. Right? No. But that's what you're doing, she whispered. You fix things by taking them. The problem. The money. The choice. That is how order is kept. That's not order, she said. That's control. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't move. But something in the air shifted. You think I want to control you, he asked. I think people like you don't know when you're not, she said. Her voice wasn't sharp. It wasn't angry. It was honest. Too honest. He exhaled once, slow. You are a child, he said. I know, she murmured. And children need structure. I have structure, she said quickly. School. Chores. Mama. Bills. I know exactly what falls apart if I don't do it. Her hands trembled, just once. Do you know why I wash dishes at night? She whispered. She didn't wait for his answer. Because if I don't do them then, they're still there in the morning, and mama feels guilty, and then she tries to do too much, and then she gets sick again. And if she gets sick, she needs more pills. And if she needs more pills. She stopped. The breath she took after was a confession all on its own. I don't have anyone else to carry it, she said. So I do. He felt the weight of it. Not the chores. Not the work. The loneliness underneath. You have me now, he said. She shook her head. You have everything else, she whispered. You don't need me. That was the second confession, not hers, his. Because she was right. He didn't need her. But he had failed her. He didn't say it. Couldn't. Instead, he pushed a small envelope across the table. Her breath caught. What is that? She asked. Money, he said. For the medicine. For anything else you need. She didn't touch it. I don't want to owe you more. You already owe me nothing. That's not how it works, she whispered. He leaned back. The air felt colder now. Take it, he said. She stared at the envelope. Then at him. Her fingers lifted, hesitant, fragile, uncertain. Then dropped back into her lap. I can't, she whispered. Not defiance. Not pride. Fear. Fear of what taking it might mean. He reached to slide the envelope closer. She flinched, not from him, but from the choice itself. That was the moment. The break. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a girl, too tired to choose, and a man, too used to choosing for everyone else. He withdrew his hand. The envelope stayed between them. Unopened. Unclaimed. Unresolved. He rose from the table. Think about it, he said. She didn't nod. Didn't speak. She just stared at the envelope like it was a weight and a weapon at once. He walked toward the door. Halfway out, he paused. Not to look back. Just to leave a gesture unfinished. A hand lifted, a breath taken, a word unsaid. Then he closed the distance only enough to say, "We'll finish this tomorrow." And left her there, frozen at the table, with the choice she wasn't ready to touch. He didn't sleep. The house was too quiet. Not the dangerous kind of quiet, no footsteps, no doors, no late-night calls. A different quiet. One threaded with the soft echo of a truth he hadn't faced yet. By dawn, he was downstairs. Not in the kitchen. Not near the plate rack. In his office. Where the real secrets lived. He opened the drawer he hadn't touched in months. The one labeled staff, personal. He found Marta's file easily. He had written half the notes himself. Illness last year. Hospital bill. Medication approved. Work record steady. Stable. Reliable. He had believed it. He pulled out one more folder, thin, nearly empty. The girls. Attendance issues, recorded. Behavior issues, none. Performance, high. Then one line, small but loud. Chronic fatigue. Possible home instability. He frowned. This wasn't from last week. Or even last month. It was from 8 months ago. He remembered no call. No meeting. No warning. He flipped the page and found a paper clipped behind it. A letter. Never delivered to him. Addressed to Marta, not him. Your daughter appears exhausted during class. We encourage seeking support if home responsibilities are affecting her ability to rest or complete schoolwork. He stared at the line until the letters blurred. Support. Responsibilities. Rest. His blind spot cracked. He closed the folder slowly, as if gentleness could undo the months he had ignored signs he never bothered to look for. He stood and left the office. The house felt different now, every shadow suddenly holding meaning he had missed. He walked toward the laundry room. Empty. The machines were silent. The folded clothes from last night still sat in the basket where she'd left them. Her careful work, undone by exhaustion. He moved to the kitchen next. Marta was there already, chopping vegetables quietly. Too quietly. She looked up when he entered, and froze. Boss? Where is she? He asked. Still sleeping, Marta whispered. Rough night. He didn't answer. He didn't trust the steadiness of his voice yet. He walked down the hallway, past the open spaces, past the quiet. He paused at their door. It was slightly open. The same way it had been last night. He pushed it wider. The girl was awake. Sitting on the floor again, back against the wall, knees drawn up. Like nothing had changed. Like she wasn't allowed to rest even when she wasn't moving. Her hair was loose, falling over her face in a soft curtain. Her mother slept in the bed, the blankets rising and falling slowly. A fragile rhythm. He stepped inside. She didn't look at him. "You should be asleep," he said. "I couldn't," she whispered. Her voice was brittle. He sat on the small stool beside her. "You didn't take the envelope." She didn't respond. He reached into his coat and placed it on the floor between them. Not pushing it toward her. Not claiming ownership. Just setting it down. "I looked through your files," he said quietly. Her breath caught. "Why?" "To understand." Silence thickened between them. "You've been tired for months," he said. A pause. "You've missed more school than the report showed." Pause. "The school reached out." "Your mother didn't tell me." Her fingers curled around the hem of her shirt. "She didn't want you to think she couldn't handle it," she murmured. "She wanted to stay useful." "She is useful," he said. "That's not the same as safe," she answered softly. He almost inhaled sharply. Not because she was wrong. Because she was right. He finally understood what the house had been hiding. Not danger. Not betrayal. But exhaustion. Thin, stretched exhaustion. Her carrying too much. Marta pretending she could carry everything. He assuming they were both managing because they stayed quiet. The motive triangle revealed itself. He wanted order. Marta wanted independence. The girl wanted survival. 3 desires that didn't overlap until they broke. He leaned back slightly, letting the realization settle. "You should have told me," he said. She gave a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. "No one tells men like you things," she whispered. "Not the things that make them look weak." He held still. He deserved that. Every word. "Is that what you think?" he asked quietly. "It's what Mama thinks," she said. "And sometimes? I think she's right." He didn't argue. He let the truth sit. A long silence unfolded, soft, heavy, not cruel, just real. Finally, he asked. "Why did you really wash dishes at 3 in the morning?" She closed her eyes. And that was micro-reveal number 6. The truth she couldn't hold anymore. "Because Mama sleeps better when the house is clean," she whispered. "And when she sleeps, she doesn't cry. And when she doesn't cry, she doesn't take more pills. And when she doesn't take more pills." Her voice faltered. "She doesn't forget things." The words landed gently. No sharp edges. Just truth. Truth that changed everything before it. He lowered his head, hands clasped together. Not in defeat. In acceptance. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For telling me." She didn't meet his eyes. But her shoulders dropped a fraction, not trust, not relief, just release. A small one. Enough for now. He stood. The envelope lay between them, untouched. But something else had finally settled. Truth. Quiet. Heavy. Necessary. He left the room without closing the door. Some doors, he realized, should stay open. He heard the crying before he reached the door. Not loud. Not frantic. Just a small, breaking sound, the kind someone makes when they've tried too long not to make any sound at all. He followed it down the hallway, past the places where the house usually hid things. Tonight, it wasn't hiding anything. He pushed the door open quietly. She was sitting on the floor again. Same wall. Same posture. But this time her face was buried in her arms, and her shoulders shook in uneven tremors she couldn't control. Her mother slept in the bed, a deeper sleep than last night, breathing steady, a thin line of drool at the corner of her mouth. Safe, for once. It made the girl cry harder. He stepped inside. The floor creaked, a soft, accidental warning. She stiffened. Her breathing hitched. She lifted her head too fast, wiping her face with both hands even though the tears kept coming. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean, I wasn't. You're crying, he said. She shook her head hard, almost violently. No. No, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm just tired. It's nothing. The denial cut deeper than the tears. He moved closer. Look at me. She didn't. Her gaze darted to the nightstand, to the plate she'd cleaned days ago, to the envelope still sitting untouched on the dresser where he'd set it earlier. The room breathed with her panic. Tap. Drip. Tap. Not real. Memory. But tonight, it felt louder than ever. He crouched down, slower this time, careful not to crowd her. What happened? He asked softly. She hugged her knees tighter. Her voice cracked instantly. I can't, a breath. I can't do this anymore. That was the third confession. A messy one. A dangerous one. A true one. He felt the ground shift beneath them. What can't you do? He asked quietly. She shook her head. Everything, she whispered. All of it. School, chores, mama, money, the neighbors, the teachers, all of it. Her breath hitched again. And you, she added, barely audible. That stilled him. He waited. You're nice 1 minute, she whispered, and then you're, you. And I never know if I'm safe or if I'm in trouble or if I'm just someone you're trying to fix. Her voice trembled into uneven pieces. And I keep trying to make everything perfect so no one gets mad, and I'm so tired, sir, I'm so tired. He didn't speak. Not yet. She kept going, words spilling now that the dam had broken. When Mama cries, I pretend I don't hear it. When she forgets things, I pretend it's nothing. When the teachers look at me like I did something wrong, I pretend I don't care. When the men drop things and laugh, I pretend it's funny. A breath. Sharp. Shaking. And when you tell me to take help, she whispered, I pretend I know how. Silence hit the room like a wave. She looked up at him then, eyes wet, lashes clumped, breathing uneven like every rib hurt. I don't know how, she said. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to let someone help me without thinking I'm going to pay for it later. That broke something in him. Quietly. But completely. He didn't reach for her, not yet. Didn't touch her, she wasn't ready for that. But he sat down on the floor beside her. Not in front. Not above. Beside. A choice. A change. You are not paying for anything, he said, voice low. Not with chores. Not with fear. Not with silence. She squeezed her eyes shut. I don't believe you, she whispered. I know, he said. That was the closest thing to truth they had shared. He looked at the plate on the dresser, the symbol of all the nights she stayed awake, all the weight she carried alone. Tonight, it didn't look warped or bruised. It looked small. Just a plate. Just a thing that never should have mattered this much. He stood slowly and picked it up. She watched, confused, tear-streaked. He sat again and set the plate gently in her lap. She froze. You don't have to carry the house, he said. Not anymore. Her breath shook. Her hands hovered near the plate, afraid to touch it. You're not giving it to me, right? She whispered. You're not saying it's my job again? No, he said. I'm saying it was never yours. She stared at the plate as if seeing it for the first time, as something that could be put down. The sound motif returned softly, subtly, the drip in her memory, the weight in his, the echo of nights they both misread. It wasn't sharp this time. It was fading. She set the plate aside carefully, like letting go of a burden she'd held too long. Then her breathing broke again, but differently, not panic, not fear. Release. Not full. Not healed. But beginning. He didn't touch her. But he didn't leave. He stayed sitting on the floor beside her until her crying softened into shaking breaths, and the shaking breaths softened into quiet, and the quiet softened into something new, not peace. Possibility. When the silence finally settled, heavy and full, she whispered. "Thank you." It trembled. It hurt. It meant everything. He nodded once. Not breaking the silence. Holding it. Morning didn't rush them this time. It slipped into the room quietly, a pale line of gold stretching across the floorboards, slow enough that neither of them startled awake. For once, she wasn't on the floor. She had fallen asleep against the wall, head tilted, arms loose, breath soft and even. He had stayed longer than he meant to. Not watching. Just guarding the quiet. When she shifted, he stepped out, letting her sleep. By the time she woke, the house was warm. Not loud. Not busy. Just warm. She blinked herself into sitting upright, rubbing the lingering salt of dried tears from her cheeks. For a moment, she looked confused, like she wasn't sure how she ended up resting instead of bracing. Then she noticed something. A blanket. Light, soft, tucked around her legs. Not her mother's. Not one from the linen closet. His. Folded carefully so she wouldn't wake when he placed it. A small act of care. She touched the edge of the blanket lightly, as if testing whether she was allowed to keep this softness. Her mother was still asleep, the steady rise and fall of her breathing calmer than usual. The room didn't buzz with anxiety today. Just quiet. Real quiet. She stepped into the hallway and walked toward the kitchen, her feet slow, unsure. He was already there. Not at the head of the table. Not standing like a shadow. Sitting. At the side. A cup of coffee in front of him, steam drifting lazily. He looked up when she appeared. "Morning," he said. His voice was different. Still steady. Still low. But warmer. A kind of warmth he used rarely, carefully. She hesitated in the doorway. "You can sit," he added. She moved toward the chair across from him. The wood didn't feel as cold today. There was a plate in front of her. Not a stack. Not something waiting to be washed. Just one plate. With toast. And fruit, sliced small. Simple. She stared at it. "I don't usually eat breakfast this early," she whispered. "It doesn't have to be a habit," he said. "Just today." She nodded. Her hands hovered before finally picking up the toast. The first bite surprised her, she hadn't realized how hungry she was. He watched without staring. Letting her have the moment. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "A little," she said. She didn't mention the blanket. He didn't mention leaving it. But the mention lived quietly between them. A softened symbol. When she finished half the toast, she set it down carefully, as if afraid to use too much of anything offered. He took a slow sip of his coffee. "Marta told me the pharmacy called this morning," he said. She stiffened, but he continued gently. "They had a refill ready. I had it delivered. The pills are handled." The relief hit her first. Then something else. A flicker of guilt. "You didn't have to," she murmured. "I know," he said simply. That was the difference. He wasn't fixing. He was choosing. Slowly. Steadily. Not to control. To care. She looked down at her hands. "Can I ask you something?" she said quietly. He nodded. "Why did you stay?" "Last night." He didn't answer right away. He let the truth take shape before he spoke it. "You shouldn't cry alone," he said. Her breath caught, barely, but he saw it. She stared at the table, cheeks warming, fingers twisting a corner of her sleeve. "And what if I cry again?" she whispered. His reply was soft enough to almost disappear into the morning air. "Then I'll be here again." For the first time, she believed him, not fully, not blindly, but a beginning of belief. A small inhale that didn't hurt. She took another bite of toast. He let the silence stretch, gentle and unforced. The sound motif returned faintly, not the drip of fear, but the quiet simmer of the kettle on the stove, soft and steady. A new kind of rhythm. She glanced at the envelope on the counter. Still unopened. Still waiting. About the money, she began. You don't have to decide today, he said. She let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. The morning light softened around them, turning the kitchen into a place that felt less like a workplace and more like a room where something fragile could heal without judgment. She finished the last piece of fruit and pushed the plate forward slightly. A plate I didn't wash, she said quietly. A plate you don't need to wash, he corrected. Her lips curved, not a smile, but the shadow of one. A gentle unresolved thread stretched between them. Fragile. Unfinished. Hopeful enough to bruise if pressed too hard. He stood first. I'll be in the office if you need anything, he said. She nodded, holding the warmth of the room like it was something she might be able to keep. When he walked away, she stayed seated a moment longer, fingertips brushing the rim of the softened symbol, the plate that no longer meant labor or fear. Just breakfast. Just morning. Just possibility. The house felt smaller that evening. Not because anything had moved. The walls were the same. The doors were the same. He was different. He walked through the hallway slowly, noticing things he used to step past, Marta's worn shoes by the back door, a school flyer about parent meetings half crumpled on a side table, a stack of dishes drying neatly on the rack. Not a mountain. Not a punishment. Just dishes. He found her at the table. Homework spread in front of her. Notebook open, pen between her fingers, brows knit in concentration. She didn't jump when he entered now. She just looked up, measuring his mood with a quieter kind of caution. Hi, sir, she said. He nodded. Homework? Math, she said. It's not so bad. He sat across from her. Do you need help? She considered, then gave a small shrug. Maybe. But I think I can figure it out if I stare long enough. Her answer made something in his chest loosen. Your teacher called again, he said. She winced. Am I in trouble? No, he said. She wanted to check if things were better at home. Her fingers stilled on the pen. What did you say? She asked. That we're working on it, he said. Not a fine. Not a handled. Just working. She looked surprised. Then oddly relieved. That sounds true, she said. It was. He watched her for a moment, then said. You know, I didn't hear the drip last night. She blinked. What? The drip, he repeated. From the kitchen. The one that woke me before. She frowned slightly. There hasn't been a leak in weeks, she said. I fixed it. He stilled. How? She gave a tiny, shy, almost proud smile. I tightened the pipe, she said. With one of the guard's tools. I looked it up in a book from school. I was tired of listening to it. He exhaled once, soft, surprised. The sound had never been just a leak. It had been her. Moving through the house. Fixing what she could. Enduring what she couldn't. And now it was gone. Some noises only stopped when the truth finally caught up. He leaned back. You fix more than anyone here knows, he said. Her eyes dropped to the table. That's the problem, she murmured. I'm tired of fixing everything. He watched her fingers trace the edge of the notebook. You said something the other day, he said. About not knowing how to let someone help you without thinking you'd pay for it later. She went still. I remember, she said quietly. You were right, he said. She looked up, startled. I was? Yes. He held her gaze. People like me don't always know when we're controlling instead of helping. It was a confession. Spoken calmly. Without drama. Without excuse. I thought I was protecting you, he said. By deciding. By paying. By making everything run the way I wanted it to. You were, she said. But you were protecting your way of doing things, too. He nodded once. There is a cost to letting go of control, he said. What kind, she asked. The kind where you have to admit you don't know everything, he said. That you missed things. That you failed people you thought you'd protected. The words tasted strange in his mouth. Not because they were untrue. Because he wasn't used to saying them out loud. She swallowed. I failed too, she whispered. I kept pretending I could handle it. I hid things from you because I was scared. I thought if I just worked harder, no one would see how bad it was. You were a child, he said. I still am, she answered. That's the worst part. He almost smiled. I told you something once, he said. In this room. She frowned, thinking. You said if someone is under your roof, you protect them, she recalled. That's what I believed, he said. Power equals protection. And now, she asked. He looked at her steadily. Now I think power means listening, he said. And changing. Even when it's uncomfortable. The line was the same. And not the same at all. Under my roof, I protect them. Under my roof, I listen to them. She stared at him like the floor had shifted quietly under her chair. That sounds harder, she said. It is, he said. But it's the only way it's real. The kettle on the stove clicked off in the distance. No drip. No leaking pipe. No late-night scraping dish. Just silence. And then, the smallest new sound. She pushed the envelope across the table. Toward him. I don't want it, she said. He exhaled slowly. You don't have to. I don't want this money, she clarified. Not in an envelope like a debt. Not like something I have to carry without dropping. He studied her. What do you want, he asked. She took a breath. Make it part of the house, she said. Like the light or the water or the food. Not mine. Not Mama's. Just something that's there so we don't have to earn it with fear. It was simple. And wise. And more mature than most adults he knew. That has a cost, he said quietly. I know, she replied. What cost does it ask of you, he asked. She smiled, but it was small and sad. I have to stop believing I'm safer when I'm suffering, she said. He hadn't expected that. And me, he asked. What's my cost? She looked at him, truly looked at him, then said. You have to stop confusing control with care. The room went very still. No dripping. No clatter. No raised voices. Just truth. Named. Accepted. Slowly, he nodded. Can you live with that? She asked. He didn't answer right away. Then. I think I can learn, he said. It wasn't perfect. Wasn't poetic. But it was honest. Outside, the last trace of evening light slid down the window, fading into the softer dark. He understood, finally, what the house had been trying to teach him. You can build walls high enough to keep danger out. But you cannot keep pain out by pretending not to see it. He watched her gather her notebook, tucking it under her arm. Sir, she said softly. Yes? Do you think people like us, she glanced toward her mother's room, then back at him, ever really stop paying for the things that hurt us? He thought of his past. His choices. His empire. Her nights at the sink. Marta's pills. The costs they had all carried. I don't know, he said. Then, more carefully. Or maybe the better question is, who do we let decide the price? Her eyes lingered on him. On the envelope. On the house around them. On the sudden possibility that, for once, the answer didn't have to be fear. She nodded slowly.
Yeah,
she whispered. Maybe that is the question. And for anyone listening, anywhere, it waited in the quiet between them. When it comes to the people under your roof, are you protecting them, or just protecting the way you like to be in control? The house was quiet in a way it had never been quiet before. Not watchful. Not tense. Not waiting for a sound to signal something wrong. Just resting. He walked the hallway slowly, the lights dimmed to a warm gold that touched the floor in soft shapes. His footsteps didn't echo. They just existed, like part of the house finally allowed to be gentle. He paused at the kitchen doorway. The plate rack, the symbol of everything that had kept her awake, held only 2 plates tonight. Both clean. Both put away. Not by her. He'd done it earlier, without thinking, without expecting her to notice. The final symbol, now simple again. He found her sitting at the small kitchen table, legs tucked beneath her, hair braided loosely this time. Not tight. Not pulled as if bracing. Soft. She looked up when he entered, tired but not afraid. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Not yet," he said. She nodded like she understood that more than she should at her age. He took the chair across from her. The same place he sat the morning she'd finally eaten breakfast without rushing. Tonight, the kitchen smelled faintly of chamomile tea. A soft sensory cue. She held a mug between her palms. "It helps," she said quietly. "Mama drinks it when she's anxious." "How is she?" he asked. "Better," she said. She remembered dinner. She laughed at something on TV. It was nice. He nodded. Good. She took a slow sip, exhaled, then said, "Do you think things will stay like this?" Her voice wasn't scared. Just careful. He thought of all the ways things could break. The world outside. The world inside. His past. Her wounds. Nothing was guaranteed. But some things could be chosen. "There will be hard days," he said. "And good days. And days that look like both." She nodded slowly. "But you won't be doing any of it alone," he added. Her eyes softened as the words settled. A quiet intimacy shaped itself between them, not dependency, not control, just connection. "I'm still learning how to let people help," she said. "I'm still learning how to help the right way," he answered. Their truths aligned gently, not perfectly. She reached into her pocket and slid something across the table. A small object. Thin. Familiar. A folded scrap of notebook paper. He unfolded it. On the inside, written in uneven handwriting, was a list. "Things I don't have to carry alone. Dishes Mama's medicine school forms bad days, leaks secrets fear." He read it twice. Then a third time. "Is this for me?" he asked. "It's for both of us," she whispered. A small promise of future peace. Not in words. In willingness. He folded the paper carefully, treating it like something breakable. "I'll keep it," he said. She smiled, small, tired, real. "Good," she said. "Then maybe it'll stay true." He stood first. Not to leave. To check the stove, to turn off a light, to do all the small things she used to stay awake worrying about. When he returned to the table, she was looking at the window. The dark outside was calm. No threats. No shadows. Just night. A normal one. "I think I can sleep now," she said softly. "I'll walk you," he answered. They moved down the hallway, unhurried. Her footsteps matched his, not too fast, not too slow. At her door, she paused. "Good night, sir." "Good night." She stepped inside, pulled the blanket up around her shoulders, and let her body sink into the mattress like someone who finally understood sleep was allowed. He stood there a moment longer, watching her breathing grow even. Then he gently pulled the door almost closed, not fully, never fully. A line of warm light rested on the floor through the small gap. A quiet promise. He walked back down the hallway. The house didn't creak. Didn't drip. Didn't whisper old worries. It simply breathed. And when he reached his room, he let out the last breath he didn't know he'd been holding. The kind that said the night was safe, the house was settled, and tomorrow could come without fear. Then he turned off the light. And the house fell into a full, warm silence.